Hurricane Irene could become a major Category 3 hurricane later today and could strike anywhere from Florida to North Carolina by the end of this week. CBS News hurricane consultant David Bernard is at our Miami station WFOR. David, good morning. And let's ask you right off the top, where is Irene headed at this point and what is the latest track?
Well, good morning, Chris. This storm has grown in size and strength during the overnight period. In fact, looking at the latest advisory this morning, we're talking about a storm with 100-mile-per-hour winds. It's just off the coast of the Dominican Republic. That's a Category 2. It's moving to the west-northwest at 12. And again, the future track takes the cone across the Bahamas, and we could have a Category 3 major hurricane during this time tomorrow as it nears places like Nassau and potentially Freeport in the Bahamas. Now, as far as Florida is concerned, the closest approach is going to be Wednesday night and Thursday, where it could strengthen to a Category 4. And then beyond that, we're looking at a possible impact from a major storm into the Carolinas, maybe a Category 3 by the time we get into the weekend. That's at least how the advisory looks at the current time.
David, so if this storm does follow this path that you're talking about, where might the strongest winds be located?
Well, that's the most interesting aspect right now, especially as far as Florida is concerned. Here is a look at the current wind field. In the yellow area are tropical storm force winds. The most dangerous part of the hurricane is where you see the oranges and the reds. And right now, if the storm goes right down the middle of that cone, those dangerous hurricane winds are going to be across most of the Bahamas. Notice West Palm Beach and Miami might just get kissed by those tropical storm force winds. But I have to stress, if the track goes a little bit further to the west, Chris, we could be looking at a much stronger impact here on the Florida coastline.
All right, David Bernard in Miami for us this morning. David, thank you. As you can imagine, preparations are already underway along the southeast coast, which hasn't seen a hurricane this big in several years. CBS's Begad Shaban is in Dania Beach, Florida, just outside Fort Lauderdale for us this morning. Begad, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Well, as Hurricane Irene continues to churn in the Caribbean, those here in South Florida are anxious over the possibility of the storm making landfall along the East Coast. This is the first hurricane to seriously threaten the U.S. in 3 years.
Irene has already soaked the U.S. Virgin Islands as a Category 1 hurricane. And in Puerto Rico, knocked out power to more than 1 million people. There were heavy rains and powerful winds, but serious destruction was avoided in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, as Irene, the first named hurricane of the season, sidestepped the island.
The projected path of Hurricane Irene at this point tells us that it's going to go northwest of Haiti.
Now Irene is gathering steam as it barrels toward the East Coast, although it's not yet known where it will make landfall in the U.S., possibly as a Category 3 hurricane with winds around 115 miles per hour. Florida retailers are preparing for the worst.
Generators, your flashlights, your lanterns, your charcoal, and then at the end we have water and gas cans for your generators and stuff like that.
Mitch Vega of Miami isn't taking any chances and is stocking up.
I remember Hurricane Andrew. I was completely unprepared for it, and but this time I'm going to be prepared.
Hurricane Irene is already being compared to two monster storms of the past that made landfall in North Carolina. Gloria in 1985 and Hurricane Floyd in 1999, which triggered the third largest evacuation in U.S. history. 2.6 million people in 5 coastal states. So far, Irene hasn't led to any evacuations, but coastal residents appreciate the forewarning.
Thank God that we do have a period of time to prepare if it does come.
Now, officials here in South Florida are closely monitoring the storm, but they say it's still too early to make any decisions relating to evacuations or school closures. But Chris, they tell me that could happen as early as tonight or possibly tomorrow morning.
CBS's Begad Shaban in South Florida for us this morning. Begad, thank you.